Hey, what's up, everybody? Lawler here, and hope you're all having a fantastic day. Last week, I ended up talking about a video and in a video about how and what Rocket League should steal from other games. Basically, ideas that you guys think would be really cool if they're implemented into Rocket League. And it's kind of this ongoing theme that I'm going to be talking about over the next couple of weeks. Last week was ideas from other games. This week and this video is going to be about a video I made back in February. And then another future video, which will be at the beginning of the year, is going to be looking back at the entire 2020 year for Rocket League and seeing what they've done and kind of adding it all up and seeing how we feel about it. So some things to look forward to. If you guys want to make sure you don't miss out on any of that stuff, easiest thing to do is hit subscribe and turn on notifications. And make sure you give the video a thumbs up if you do enjoy it. Make sure to share it with your friends and family and all that kind of fun stuff if it's something you think they would enjoy as well. But today's video is going to be broken down into a couple parts, just like the last time I did this. To give you some context, as soon as I was let go as an RLCS commentator, the big benefit that came with that was that I was allowed to express an opinion that I wasn't normally able to have. I was allowed to share my voice about frustrations and things that have been going on. If you guys don't know what video I'm talking about, I'll have it kind of displaying up here or a link in the description to it. But it was literally called How to Fix Rocket League. It was the feelings that many people, including myself, the community, and a lot others, and just things over the past 5 years that we are like, why aren't these things in here? Why is this? Like, we're frustrated. These are the things that would make the game so much better. This is my entire compile list of things I hope that you guys fix or update or change. And what this video is going to be is we're going to take a look back at that. That happened February 2nd of this year. It has been 10 plus months, 10 and a half months roughly. So let's take a look and see how much has actually changed. Again, I hope you're all having a fantastic day. If you guys don't know, I do stream every single day on Twitch, except for Tuesdays over at twitch.tv/LAWL. You can find links to that and all my other social medias in the description, whether you want to join us on the community on Discord or otherwise. All that stuff can be found down below. Today's video is going to be broken down just like I did that last video to kind of provide a chronological order to it. That video was me discussing things like, why aren't these things implemented? Why do we still have these things? These are things we would like, things that we want to build upon. Basically like a compilation of all things Rocket League that this community has been asking for collectively for a very long time. I want to break it down into a couple of different parts. We're going to talk about the casual scene and the competitive scene and desires from that regard. And I'm going to talk about something I brought up in the video, and I'm going to see if anything has changed in a positive light for that. I'm going to go through multiple topics doing that, and then I'm also going to provide some different ones. In the future video that I talked about in the intro, we will end up doing a recap of all of 2020. I'm going to go back through every single update that Psyonix has put out and see and compile and give a visual representation of what they've done. That could be an interesting one, so make sure you guys tune into that. That'll be probably one of the first videos of next year. But back, and let's keep focused on this video. We're going to start off with the ideas, and the number one thing was the lack of content. The frustration of they have not released like new game modes or anything like that. So I'll touch on that again in the future when we start talking about Heatseeker. So first, casual. Things that are focused, and the way that I wanted them to break down the game is the emphasis on casual and the emphasis on competitive. You've got your casual queues, which is 1s, 2s, 3s, and chaos, your 4v4. And then you've got 1s, 2s, 3s in competitive, etc. But still on the casual side is the extra modes. I wouldn't consider extra modes a competitive side because the extra modes are not based upon the traditional sense of Rocket League in which they want to be broadcasted on TV. You then also have the focus of custom maps and Rocket Labs maps, a custom trainer update, as well as Heatseeker coming out. So let's tackle these in order. First one first, casual queue. Nothing's really changed here. The only thing they did is got rid of solo standard, which a lot of us have been asking for a very long time because no one played it. And there wasn't really, it didn't really make sense to force people to play solo in 3s when they can queue that already in standard. What my opinion was, and the way they should have handled it, is they should have added what I deemed as club queue, where you have clubs in the game that you have allowed to sign up with. This is basically like having a clan tag in the game or like a guild. But that's it. It doesn't really do anything. It's kind of arbitrary. It doesn't really help. Yes, it gives you like a verified tag if you are like a pro team, but that's it. It's not really fleshed out. It feels like what tournaments used to be, where tournaments was this cool feature that came out, but the later half of it we never saw, and it was a complication, which I'll talk about later. But then they put out a second update for it. I feel like that might happen with clubs, where clubs just feels like this really arbitrary, useless thing. And after people complain about it enough, you may get a second update with clubs, and then you'll start to see Club Q, which is what I've been asking for. Fully flesh that out, what I want from Club Q is, as a reiteration, which this has obviously not happened, they introduced with the RLCS, and this kind of cuts ahead. With the RLCS, they added the field, and the field is basically their step to becoming a pro. It allows anybody to sign up through a Discord, and then you can compete and have a chance to kind of get into higher and higher divisions if you're Grand Champ. And this is something that I think they should have worked into the game with the rank system. If you had a club queue where you as a team have to queue with 3 players, and if you're bronze to champ 3, you play best of 1s. When you get into Grand Champ 1, 2, 3, you play best of 3s. And then when you get into Supersonic Legend, you play best of 5s. This is what you use to funnel into the field. That is how you do your divisions, your scoreboards. You have a client in-game that, kind of like the tournament system, you have a tab for your field system, and that is what you use rather than a third-party Discord, etc. It's built into the game. It is super easy to use. It's super accessible. All the things that you need, all the features you want are built in-game, but you and your buddies have a club, and that club is a ranked leaderboard. Right now, leaderboards are on an individual level with your individual MMR, the collective MMR being all 3 players as a team, so they have to queue together, would be something that I think would push a lot. It would force a lot more pro teams and everybody else to grind as a collective. And if you promised best of 3 series and stuff like you do at the tail end of your tournaments, I feel like that queue would probably be one of the most popularized and a good way to find new and upcoming talent. Again, you tie that in with the field and you have a match made in heaven. As for extra modes, it's more the same. Nothing's really changed there. You also have their events that are more of recycled. Another frustration that I've expressed, where Frosty Fest is the same items and the exact same system. Obviously, it's now built into their challenge system that came to the free-to-play update. We'll talk about that later. But it's basically the same exact event. You guys have the ability to play games. With games, you earn and can complete challenges, because that's the new way they do it. They have a menu that the more you play, you earn like snowflakes or some sort of currency. And with that currency, you then can unlock a list of items. And then you have the ability to unlock golden gifts or pumpkins or whatever it is. And you can get a random item that way. Now they have that built into the challenge system, where if you complete certain challenges, you unlock those items instead of rather doing it with a currency. And that does make it does make more sense. You have a specific objective in mind to earn a thing, and it coincides with their challenge system and the emphasis they're putting on the challenge system for their rewards and their common drops and everything else going on. You then have the addition of custom maps, and will be the dead horse we continue to kick while it's down, because that is something that we all want. Obviously, Lethmir has done a great job with building his website and making it as accessible as possible, but we still have yet to see that implemented into the game, where it's super accessible for both console and PC, or just PC at this point. Like, as long as it works, I feel like that's the thing. If that's your hesitation, that it's just you don't have it for console yet, like, just put it out on PC, because the workshop maps are Steam only as is. So that hasn't happened yet. If I want to play a sumo map, or if I want to play Among Us with a bunch of friends in my chat, the ability to go into create a private match. I select from a workshop map. I click the workshop map. It hosts it. My people can join with a private username and password. And if they don't have the map, it downloads it, and we're good to go. That is still not a feature. That is the most requested feature. That is what everybody wants. Please make it happen. If you're going to enable that, the other side with it was a creative mode, which also has not happened. The creative mode with the ability to have a map editor in-game, and that would apply to not just the ability to create custom maps with predefined features and triggers and stuff to make coding or building maps as easy as possible, but then also on the other side, allowing you to make custom training options. Right now, obviously, you have a custom trainer where you can set up certain shots and stuff, but then you take it to a further extent like Baka's mod, where you have the ability to set obstacles and different things like that, and moving targets that you have to shoot around. That kind of stuff, being able to implement that would be the same thing as like a creative mode. Both of those work the same way. It fully fledges out both systems. Gives you the best of both worlds. That has not happened either. The other frustration was then lack of content on the casual side. Content does not mean, to me, cosmetics. Cosmetics are, yes, cool ways to accessorize your car, but at the end of the day, I am playing the exact same game. Standard 3v3 or 2v2 or extra game modes. I'm playing Rocket League as I've played Rocket League for many years, and my only incentive to play is to earn ways to fancy up my car. Doesn't change the core gameplay, doesn't make a unique or fun or exciting thing. And then they released Heatseeker. Heatseeker is a cool concept. It's definitely a step in the right direction. It was probably one of the better game modes that they've released in a long time. They also most recently for the Frosty Fest decided to put the puck from Snow Day on Throwback Stadium. No one played it. No one enjoyed it, really, except for that small select few who will thumbs down this video. But most people just didn't care for it, didn't play it, and moved on. So as for content, since that video, Heat Seeker has come out. The game has gone free to play, and with free to play, they have taken features that have already existed and updated them. Primary one being the tournament system, which I think is pretty dang great. I will say the tournament system is super cool. I am hoping for future iterations where it's not just threes, you can also queue twos and ones. That was talked about in the update when they put out free to play that initially they will be doing 3v3 tournaments only, and luckily you can queue solo or with a full team. And the title system and the way that works, I think has worked out great. I think it's a really well done job. I think the free to play update in general, and I do think that the tournament system has gotten a revamp. And now it's, again, time not to become complacent. Add a 2v2 queue, add a 1v1 queue, really mix it up. So that wraps up pretty much all the casual stuff. Not a whole lot has really changed from the casual side. Obviously, the free to play update added some new flashy shiny toys, but the big thing we want with the custom capability still isn't here yet. Obviously, that's probably one of the biggest projects that you could ask for, but I also feel it's the most important, so that's why it is emphasized so heavily. We then jump over to the competitive scene and the talks of ranked and the frustration and no hard reset or whatever it may be. Whether you are for hard reset or not, I don't think is the point. But the solution that Psyonix provided was because of the saturation of ranks and the inflation and some of the things that are going down, their idea is to expand how many ranks there are and hope that people just funnel into the right one, which doesn't fix the core issue, in my opinion, of ranked. Ranked right now as a system, and my frustration with it still, is if you start to go on a win streak, rather than allowing you to increase your streak and continue to build MMR or MMR gains, so rather than gaining 9 points a game, you gain 12 and then 13 and then 15. So you climb faster. If you're continuously winning and going on a streak, that is to me in the game saying, I am better than where I am, so allow me to climb out of this area. But the Rocket League rank system sees you on a streak and says, okay, you're playing very well. Let us pair you against somebody that is better than you and make you prove yourself that way, which to me is the opposite. You should put the people that are better than their rank into the next rank and then hope they can sustain that performance where they win one, they lose one. That is how, to me, you balance out, well, if they're winning 50% of their games, this is where their rank is supposed to be. This is where they should settle. But the game, if you win like 3-4 games in a row, will take you from being, in my circumstance, a Grand Champ 1 or a Grand Champ 2, and now you're starting to play Grand Champ 3s, Supersonic Legends, and it's like, wait, I'm on a win streak. I should be getting more points. Why am I playing harder competition as like a gatekeeper when I should just promote into that rank, keeping down? Now, again, this is a generalization. This is just an example I'm giving. But this is how the rank system has existed for a very long time. And it felt like Psyonix's solution with the free-to-play update is we now have Champ 1, 2, 3, Supersonic Legend, and 3 more Grand Champs in the middle in hopes that the big difference between Grand Champs that are fresh 1515 MMR and pros that are 2300 MMR will figure out where they go. And that didn't really fix the core issue of what ranked is. It is a system that, from what I've heard internally, is working as intended. And the last time I criticized it, I said, well, your intention is shit. It's not the best words, but I feel there's a lot of frustration with the rank system. And if that is the way you want it to function, by all means, power to you. Just feel it could do a lot better. So, new edition of ranks have come. Gives people something a little bit more to climb for. I do think the new edition of titles and the synergy that has come with the competitive scene where the Rocket Pass and competitive Season 1 and Season 1 and everything is all in sync, very similar to Fortnite. Shout out to Epic Games. I think that's great. I think it's easy for users to come in. We are at a clean slate with free-to-play. Makes sense. I'm okay with it. I think the red titles are a great look. I think the decals you guys put out for Season 1 for competitive rewards look absolutely stellar. I think there was a lot of emphasis put into those to make them feel rewarding. And I can tell that Epic is definitely having their involvement in some of this in partnerships and elsewise. Free-to-play as a whole was one of the major topics as well, talking about the benefits of bringing free-to-play in. And I think all of the YouTubers that aren't me, that are pretty popular in content, can agree that free-to-play has been pretty freaking awesome. You look at the player base and we hit a all-time high concurrent player base of just shy of 2 million players active at one given time. That is a lot. You are seeing queues where in the past I thought when the day was popular, seeing 20,000 people queue in 2v2, I now see minimum like 100, 200,000 people queuing. So you are seeing roughly a 500% increase in your player base. I can guarantee you the Steam sales and stuff that you are now missing out on, and the influx of people coming in from the Epic Game Store is most likely making up that revenue. So glad they gave in to free to play. About dang time. I am glad that it is proving every worthwhile that we assumed it was going to. It has been fantastic for the game. The one thing I will say is their Smurf Prevention has been pretty lackluster. Their idea of implementing you have to be a certain level, I think it's level 10 before you can queue competitive. You can get level 10 in like an hour. It's not hard. It's like you play a couple matches. If you're a Smurf, you're going to pop off against those bronze or unranked people, and you're going to make those almost immediately. So I think the way that I think it's Valve does it is you have to, if you want to get into like a prime queue, you associate your phone number or like a MAC address or something. I forget the exact details for Counter-Strike, but then it puts you into a queue with other people that have verified their accounts. That way you're not dealing with like smurfing or anything like that. So if they do get reported or VAC banned or whatever it may be, it is punishing your person, not just your account that you made with this is fake account at gmail.com. Talking about the competitive scene again, and kind of a redundancy here is removing solo standard. Check. Club queue, I already talked about this. Please, club queue, integrate it with the field. That'd be amazing. Make it in game. The other thing was tournament mode, asking where the second update is going to be. Second update came out. You nailed it, honestly. I think this is what tournament mode should have been from the start. I think this is what a lot of us were expecting. But this tournament mode, when I do actually sit down and play it, the reward system, getting the credits, you know, having to compete in like a GC tournament to unlock the Champion Cup and all that kind of stuff. Like, I really do enjoy the tournament mode, and I'm happy to say like this is where, you know, when you change up the cosmetics and the different rewards, it feels good, man. I do think that Psyonix did a really good job with the tournament mode, and it helps because it's like the only thing that they did in this update other than making it free. So, and I know that totally degrades the hard work that they put in. Obviously, there's a lot of things that went into the Epic Game Store, making everything look good, and the Rocket Pass and the competitive season all synced in and all that kind of stuff. But the tournament mode was like the new content that you guys decided to bring into the game. I think you did a really good job with it. I think tournament mode's pretty sick. I then talked about applying a regular meeting with pros and etc. for playtesting and feedback, talking about quarterly meetings or whatever it may be, interacting with the pros on a more regular basis to get their feedback about certain hitboxes that they're implementing with new cars, or if there's demo things that they're updating or new patches coming out that may affect this stuff. Getting them to help test and feedback. They've actually been doing that in a lot of their posts, in their blog posts. They do credit and say, you know, thanks to this person, this person, this person for helping us play test or do this kind of stuff to make sure stuff goes well. I gotta say, in the most recent updates, when they've put out new updates to the game, it hasn't felt like I have a crazy heavy car bug or my game just physics-wise don't feel right or this one thing is off. It feels like they have definitely taken that step and positively have helped out with making sure that when they do put out new patches, things look good. That could also be in the help with Epic Games on the back end, helping their back end with implementing some of these new things on their new system. So I will say new updates have been very smooth as of late. We don't every single update have to deal with this crazy, buggy, broken thing, which is really nice. I will say there has been a couple bugs. The biggest one recently was as soon as you finish a game, when you go to ready up and queue again, it would automatically drop down menu into party up, so you would request a party invite to another person, which was super awkward. So they did end up fixing that pretty recently, like within the last couple of days, I think. So again, other than that, like the core gameplay, the physics engine, all that kind of stuff with updates has been smooth. So interaction with the pros and stuff has been better. On the content creator side, it has been still kind of iffy. I can tell you guys that I do get emails from Psyonix as a content creator on their list, but the emails are basically like, hey, we tweeted out that this feature is out now or this feature is coming, and then I get an email about that post that has already happened. It's basically like getting the tweet in an email or the blog post in an email, which that's not what I'm really asking for. I'm asking for stuff ahead of time. I'm asking for you to let your content creators in to showcase some features. They have done this with a couple content creators, some of their bigger ones like Athena and John Sandman and Bertsy and Musty and all those guys, people that are actually good at YouTube, but they have invited them out. And this obviously is something that maybe they will continue to do when the pandemic hopefully clears up here sooner than later. But they have invited some of the content creators out and showed them some of the things that are coming with the Rocket Pass and everything else, to show them some of the features and stuff in game ahead of time and get feedback. So I do hope they continue to do that. They've done pieces of it. Obviously the pandemic has made things really difficult on all ends, both internally, externally, and for everybody else in between, even you guys at home. So I do hope they continue to do that. It was a step in the right direction. And they did put in-game community flags, but I would like to see like an in-game shop. PUBG has done this. I talked about this in my last video that I referenced at the beginning of this video, with the PUBG shop, where they have creator codes in-game, and they actually sit down and talk with content creators and give them a custom skin in-game that you can purchase to support those content creators. I think things like that would go the next step, but I do think the community flags need a massive overhaul. I wish they had like a community like program that you could sign up for, and once you hit certain milestones, you could get an in-game flag or something like that. Like, by all means, I respect some of the people that were paid at the very beginning to expand and showcase and market the game on Twitch. And heck, even some of those guys I've gotten to know and record videos with, but they haven't touched the game in 4 years, 4.5 years. Time to update the community flags. Time to really look at people like Subpart HD and Linkaroo and those guys that quite honestly deserve a flag in the game. They bust their butts. They've been around since the very beginning. Ultimately, I don't think there will ever be enough interaction from the content creator to the developer. Sonics has always been pretty secretive. Sonics doesn't like to really share and let people in. But I do think that you're starting to see somewhat of a trend in the other direction, where they are willing to communicate and talk and interact with some of their content creators. And obviously they have to be choosy and picky about it, but you are starting to see a little bit more involvement, primarily obviously on the esports side, which I'll talk about here in a bit. But yeah, I think it's starting to get there, but it still feels like it could always be more. You could always interact, you could always talk more, and be more vocal with stuff. And it's little things, like people on the social media account for Rocket League replying to people and talking and just that interaction. A good example of this, go look at the Among Us social media team for Innersloth. Those guys crush it. The amount of interactions and stuff, like, it's just showing that they're actively looking and paying attention to their community, is as much as just a quick message being like, hey, I appreciate this, or wow, this fan art was cool. Things like that. Those community spotlights that you guys used to do, rather than, just focusing on the big content creators, if you see like someone tweeted you with cool fan art or something on the subreddit, showcasing that stuff or tweeting out about it. I can go to the Rocket League Esports subreddit and then find a cool thing or something that somebody's made, and then I can post that and be like, wow, this is really cool. Like, love this community. Things like that go a long way. Even though it's not much, it's enough to be like, okay, you guys actually do look and pay attention. Next up is the esport. I think this is the #1 thing that they have done right. Again, shout out to the Rocket League Esports team. I think you guys are absolutely crushing it. There was a lot of things where I mentioned in that other video talking about how I wanted to see more community events and stuff like that. And it feels like part of the reason why community events went away is in preparation, obviously, for the circuit-based system. Not really any time for community events. There's a couple one-offs here and there, but for the most part, RLCSX is a beast. It's a $4.5 million prize pool. There's a ton of tournaments. There's 22 events, 27 events, 22 events, something like that, throughout this entire year. And obviously the pandemic doesn't allow live events, but the broadcast team has been doing a great job. I talk about a video of this. You can probably find it here in the description down below. But the tournament and the RLCS as a whole, the esports team has done a really good job. The one thing that I talk about in this video that I will critique them on, I've got to go grab some stuff. I'll be right back. So I talk about in that video making the game profitable, and I went on a little bit of a tangent on this on my stream and forgot to really deep dive into it in the video. The first thing, making it profitable. You can't buy this. This does not exist. This is a thing that I got from being one of the casters in season 1. Twitch was actually back at the helm during that time in control of the esport. They're the ones that made them and that manufactured them and brought them. I have actually 2. They do not exist. I can guarantee you, if I tweeted this out and said, hey, who wants this mug? I'm doing a giveaway. It would explode. There's so many people that want that stuff. They don't exist. Or when I talked about it on stream, Lethamir was also like, yo, give it to me. I need it. And it's like, you just can't. They don't happen. It's just not a thing. Another thing, I was a caster. Which, again, is a very simple shirt. And it's got the crest on the side. Why can't I buy merch for Rocket League Esports? Why can't I find a baseball tee with a crest on it? Why can't I find any sort of, why can't I find anything whatsoever about merch or merchandise in general for Rocket League Esports? It's just not a thing. In the past LANs, and the thing I critique them on is when you go to a live event when we had them, you can usually buy like an event shirt and maybe like a hoodie here and there. But other than that, it just does not exist. Why there isn't a shop on their website or something, or a branding partner that they have to make that stuff available, because I can guarantee you it would sell. Every single week, there's like 80-some thousand people watching your broadcast. Sell some merch. I'm sure there's a lot of other ideas that they can find a way to make it profitable, but that's probably the easiest idea that you guys can have for free. Two last things. The first one being, this company was purchased by Epic Games and wanting the implementation of faster and more consistent, and then bigger and better events, bigger and better sponsorships, bigger and better collaboration. You've seen a little bit of this. I do think some of the updates are starting to get a little bit more refined. This kind of is reference to like the decals and the titles and stuff they did with free to play. I think they did a pretty good implementation of that. Talking about the partnerships, you're partnering right now with the NFL. That's a pretty big deal. So I do think that Epic is definitely having that involvement, but for turnaround time still feels a little bit slow. And maybe that's just because the expectation of other game developers has been so long. And then on the other side of that, talking about things being templated and a little bit generic. Most recently, you can look at Frosty Fest. It is literally a copy paste. There's not a whole lot new to it. It feels pretty lackluster, if I'm being completely honest. I want new, exciting, fresh ideas. I know I'm not the only one. Please, when I say content, I mean content, new, refreshing, and exciting. And the thing I'm going to say for last year is Rocket Labs is coming back. Rocket Labs coming back is the saving grace, I think, for this game. It is the one thing that I am deeply invested in hoping that it will make Rocket League that next step of popular in the casual scene. I have seen the outcry and the level of support that Lethmer receives for his custom maps, and hoping that Psyonix, when they release Rocket Labs, and this is going to be crucial, if Rocket Labs is you putting out Spike Rush as a limited time game mode for a couple weeks, taking it off, putting in Heatseeker for a couple weeks, taking it off, putting in, you know, some other thing that we've already played, the Ghost Hunt Ball thing for a couple weeks, and then taking it off, there is going to be some pretty bad backlash from myself and many others. But if Rocket Labs continues to be new maps that we've never seen, things that you want to try out and test, and a place to allow you as a developer to experiment with unique and fun ideas like Lethmir has done for his maps. You know, you don't have a crazy skin to it. It's not fully fledged out, but the core mechanic of the game works. The bounces are clean. The textures of the map are super clean, so you can make sure that the ball goes up the wall smoothly and stuff like that. And yes, maybe it's a little bit too tall, or maybe it's a little bit too wide, and the community plays it. And hopefully you put out a poll, or you interact with the community, whether it be on Reddit or elsewhere, and you say, hey, what do you guys think about this new game mode that we put out? You know, the map is a little bit shorter, but the walls are a little bit wider. Do you guys like it? Do you not like it? What do you guys think? And the feedback comes in, and you take it with a little bit of grain of salt, because you're the developer. You should know better than us. You interact with your pros and your content creators and be like, yo, what do you guys think about that new map? A little bit behind the closed doors, and you trust the people in the community that you think have a good opinion and aren't afraid to, you know, bite their tongue. It's me. I'm going to give you brutal honesty. I'm going to tell you exactly what I think about the map. But that criticism is because we care and we want to do the best thing. And rather than completely getting rid of Rocket Labs, you go, all right, we found out that this map is a little bit wider, and because of that, it needs a little bit more boost in certain areas. You make those adjustments, those iterations. You put it out again, and the community's like, yeah, this is sick. We really like this. You put a fancy skin on it, you make it all prettied up, and you release it. And now you can play it in custom apps and privates and all that kind of stuff. And that's what Rocket Labs becomes. Bravo then. If you do that, I'll be happy. If you don't, a little worried. This has been How to Fix Rocket League Part 2. If you guys enjoyed this video and it is something that you like, please feel free to share it on all social media platforms with your friends and others that enjoy Rocket League. If you guys enjoyed my personal content, I would appreciate it if you give it a thumbs up. Hit subscribe, turn on notifications, all that fun stuff. Questions, comments, concerns down below. If you've not checked out that video or anything as I've mentioned, they are in the description down below. I have a ton of videos that cover topics like this. You just got to go and find them, whether they're into the description or in a related link or something to that ability. But if you have made it this far, I do greatly appreciate the support. And I hope that we collectively as a community continue to be critical so Rocket League can be the best game we know it has the potential to be. I've been Lawler, and I am your inside source for all things Rocket League. We'll catch you next time. Peace.